Muhammad was very familiar with the terms and the techniques of venture capital, because venture capital had been practiced in his family for many generations. His great-grandfather, Hashim, was an eminent caravan trader who struck agreements with Bedouins through whose territory he traveled, and whereby he arranged for those Bedouins to allow him safe passage, gave them an opportunity to provide him with goods for consignment, which he sold at his destination, and on his return trip would share profits with them. Taking risks through venturing across the desert at the possibility to achieve the possibility of great profit was something that was the business model practiced by many in Mecca. Many of the terms that Muhammad would have heard during his lifetime refer to caravan trade. For example, the term azar, which describes the untoward events and accidents that may befall someone who is a caravan merchant. We use the term azar in English too. It is called hazard. Muhammad was introduced to caravan travel very early in his life, in the very first beginning, in a very unhappy circumstance, because his mother Amina was still pregnant when his father Abdullah was not able to come home in time to witness the birth of his son, because Abdullah perished during a caravan trip. Muhammad, as a little boy, already was exposed to caravan travel. His uncle Abu Talib took him on a journey when Muhammad was a very little boy, possibly as young as 8 years old. Caravans also were the reason for another turning point in Muhammad's life. At the age of 25, his uncle Abu Talib introduced him to his future wife, Khadija, and Khadija was a professional investor in caravan trade. So we know that very early in his life, Muhammad followed the family tradition of being immersed in the tradition of caravans and of commercial ventures. It is possible even that a term that we describe for the essence of entrepreneurial activity, taking risk, plausibly may derive from the term riz that one encounters frequently in the Quran, where it describes in several different contexts God's bounty or other connotations closely linked to it. Venture capital was something that continued in early Islam, and Malik ibn Anas, who compiled the Muwatta, the first compendium of Islamic law, devotes many sections of many paragraphs and many sections to the particulars of caravan trade and of the fair distribution of profits from it and of the fair distribution of losses. Typically, the investor would have 3 out of 4 portions of profit, the manager 1. Uniquely, there were also provisions of what should happen in cases where caravan travel did not provide a profit but a loss. The 4th Caliph, Ali, said profits follow the manager, losses follow the investor. Managers were not held accountable for losses, but had a justifiable claim in a bonus when profits would ensue. Caravan travel and the venture capital arrangements that governed them were also models for European merchants who traded with Arabic communities, specifically for seafaring merchants from Italy. Seafaring ventures have much in common with caravan travel. You need someone to invest in building a ship and equipping the ship, and you need someone to manage the ship and take it to its destination and bring it back. So profit shares needed to be agreed between the investors and the captains and the seafaring staff. These legal arrangements were called commenda, forerunners of modern corporations. Plausibly, the commendas were modeled on kirats that governed caravan trade. In this way, one sees how venture capital, originating in Arab practices that were already common before the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, continued in early Islam and traveled to Europe.